And speaking of the Bulldogs, let's jump on down to Athens real quick. Where one thing, and why this really popped into my head, I heard it from Paul Feinbaum on the radio interview. And I know some people really don't like Paul Feinbaum. I love him. I think he's fantastic. He's one of the best in the country for a reason. There's a reason he's quickly become one of the faces of ESPN's college football coverage. And, of course, the SEC network is because, he just does such a damn good job. And he's kind of dominated the radio landscape there in the South for so many years. But that being said, and I'm not trying to totally pick on him because I'm seeing it from a lot of places, but I did see an interview with him on Monday where he was talking Georgia Bulldogs and basically said this is not an all-time Georgia team because the offense holding them back from being in the class of 2020 Alabama, 2019 LSU, and teams of that caliber because they don't have anything special on offense. And again, I'm seeing that from a lot of people. A lot of people think that the offense could potentially hold Georgia back from winning it all this season. And I push back on that one because, of course, they lost their starting quarterback. George Pickens not in the lineup. Darnell Washington took him several weeks to get in there. So many injuries at the receiver position. We're slowly getting those guys back. Don Blaylock is not yet back for the Bulldogs. We've had Arian Smith. He's working his way back. On and on. Jermaine Burton was banged up. So many issues there with the Georgia Bulldogs. Yet, look at some of these stats here for Georgia's offense in the SEC. And these, I don't cherry pick anything. These are crucial stats that define your success, in my opinion. Yards per pass attempt. Georgia, number one in the SEC, yards per pass attempt. That's a critical stat. Number two in scoring offense, obviously an important one. Number 5 in explosive plays, and I count those as 20 or more yard plays. And number 5 in third down conversion rate, 45% on third down are the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, they're doing this with a backup quarterback, limited receivers that are getting better and better each week as they get healthy, and an offensive line that, to be fair, has kind of had to gel a little bit, but I think they're there now. And they've got all these running backs that, most people in the country would trade their running back room for Georgia. So you combine all that. I mean, this offense is playing to the caliber that they can be SEC champions, that they can win the national championship. And I'm not even talking about quite possibly the best defense we've ever seen in the SEC. I don't want to crown them just yet until they go out there and win it all. I don't think you can give Georgia that title, but they're well on their way to being elite. So I ain't buying the fact that Georgia does not have the offense to put them in that elite category. They are there so far this season. Now they got to finish the deal. Obviously, that's going to be the most difficult portion of this season, but I've seen nothing that indicates that Georgia is going to drop off or not have the pieces on offense to get there. Now, there is one issue there for the Georgia Bulldogs, because I'm not trying to sunshine pump over here. One area that needs to be improved, and if the Georgia Bulldogs get beat, this is how it's going to have to happen here. Converting touchdowns in the red zone. That has been an issue for the Georgia Bulldogs. They've been down to the red zone 42 times. They scored a touchdown 24 out of 42. That's 57%, which you may think is good, but that's 11th in the SEC, 81st in the country. And again, I mean, it's damn near impossible to score on Georgia, but if somehow you find a way to do it a couple times and you allow their offense to move the ball, but they stall in the red zone, that's about the only way that I could see someone beating the Georgia Bulldogs, as they fail to score in the red zone. And that is something specifically Kirby was asked about on Monday, converting more in the red zone. Let's kick it over to Kirby.
How do you guys go about doing a better job of converting your red zone trips into touchdowns?
Converting third downs, scoring from further out, being able to run the ball better. I mean, if you had to pinpoint one thing, it would be execution. So you would say, okay, one guy kept us from doing this, whether it was a penalty, whether it was a mental error, whether it was a decision by the quarterback. But usually in the red area, when you can run the ball stubbornly, you can score touchdowns. And when you can't run the ball stubbornly, meaning there's people in the box, it doesn't matter how many, because there's not as much depth on the field. People aren't worried about the ball being thrown over their heads. So you've got one extra hat, in some cases two extra hats to block in the red area. So you've got to be really well executing to do that.
All right, so of all the problems to have, I mean, I think they'll take that. And I do think at times, that is a reflection of the quarterback. I have heard that NFL scouts, that is one area of the field they look at more than any other when they study a college quarterback. How do they perform in the red zone? Because that's the best way to simulate NFL defenses with the window shrinking down, more guys in the box, decisions are tougher, those throws have to be more accurate. You got bodies flying around there. So again, not saying that because I don't think that Stetson Bennett will play quarterback in the NFL, that's going to cost Georgia Bulldogs, but it is somewhat of a reflection on him. Although Stetson, as we've seen, I mean, he's got that ability to run, and he utilizes his legs in the red zone as well. So that's just something to think about. And again, I know, just on the last episode, I said Stetson looks like the man. Don't mess with it. But that one key stat could be a poor reflection on him, although Kirby certainly didn't call him out here specifically.